All right, welcome back. Now, less than 40 days to the National Convention of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, slated for October 30th and 31st, the main opposition party is set to zone its national chairmanship position to the south, barring, of course, any last-minute change. With this, it means a northern presidential candidate is likely to emerge from the party, now dashing the hope of many expecting a southerner to fly the party's flag for the 2023 presidential election. This decision was reached after a meeting of the party's zoning committee headed by the Enugu State Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi. Although no official statement has been made to confirm the zoning, Ugwuanyi, who said the meeting had been adjourned to conclude next week, however, noted that the committee has no mandate to zone political offices such as president or vice president. But we do know that from what we are gathering, the position of the chairmanship of the party has been zoned to the south, and that, as a matter of fact, what is being awaited is just a mere formality. Joining me now on the program to look at this and its implication, I have Muka Bukbola, who is a political affairs analyst, and I still have Libros Oshoma, lawyer and political analyst, with us. Gentlemen, Libros, thank you for continuing to stay with us, and Mr. Bukbola, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Let me start with you. Bukbola, what do you make? What's the implication zoning the PDP chairmanship position to the south?
Of PDP zoning the national chairmanship to the south is clearly that the presidential slot will go to the north. That is the simple implication. That is the political implication. And it is within the purview of the party to decide where certain positions are zoned. It is within the purview of the party.
Now, let me ask you this. How do you juxtapose that with the position of the southern governors? And the southern governors, by the way, you have PDP governors as members of the Southern Governors Forum. I mean, the Southern Governors Forum has been very, very vocal about the presidency in 2023 being zoned to the south. So how do you reconcile the position of the PDP now with some of its governors who are members of the Southern Governors Forum?
Yeah, the one thing that should be emphasized is that the governors are members of the political party, whether PDP, APC, or ABGA. They are members of the political party, and they are subject to the decisions of the party. Yes, they could have their personal.
Libros, let me come to you, because we seem to be having problems now with Mr. Bukbola's audio. Libros, let me come to you. And I want you to take it from where Mr. Bukbola left off now. I mean, how does one reconcile this? You have, for instance, the governor of Rivers State, Wike, who is, of course, a top member of the PDP. In fact, the man who chairs this committee that settled for a southern chairmanship of the PDP is actually the governor of Enugu State. So he belongs to the Southern Governors Forum. And now this. How do you explain it?
I think the PDP is gradually shooting itself in the foot because, like we all know, it's a notorious fact that some of their governors had consistently insisted that even the general demand of most majority of people in the South, Middle Belt and well-meaning Nigeria had been the fact that now that Buhari had ruled or will be ruling for 8 years, that it's only natural and fair, even though Buhari's presidency was not as a result of zoning arrangement in the APC. They just felt, they needed a strong candidate who could deliver the mandate for them. But even though it wasn't a product of zoning, but you also cannot rule that away from the fact that, it was the North, since the death of Yaradua, felt shortchanged. And so it was only natural that when you bring a candidate from the north, that he was going to enjoy that kind of support for the 2015 election. But here, after that 8 years, there have been this cry for the presidency to move to the southeast, just the same way the two major political parties in 1999, the APP and the PDP, zoned their presidency to the southwest in 1999 because of the injustice, the injustice of the June 12th. Also, there's been this cry that for equity and fairness, that the presidency should move to the southeast. And the southeasterner had consistently been vociferous against the injustice meted out to them by this administration. And one would have expected that the PDP, being a major opposition, that this would have been an opportunity for them to begin to look in that direction and practice what they preach. But it is obvious that the PDP now belongs to money bags, that it is now being hijacked by money bags, and it is it's not about the interest to correct the perceived injustice in the land or to correct the ills or the misgovernance of the APC. It's about power. It's about the quest to grab power, and then those that have money would be the ones that would naturally get it. And consistently, there's this belief that if the PDP pitch a northern candidate in the person of Atiku against the APC southern candidate, that sympathy vote from the north that had been insisting that they will still continue to rule will go to the candidate. And so they are just looking at all permutation, anything that will give them power. But I think they are also missing the point, because they are looking at the north as a monolithic north. They've forgotten that also the middle belt also have been able to carve an identity for themselves. We're not talking about the south, the north central now. I'm talking about the middle belt. Some states in the middle belt, like Kogi, Nasarawa, and Benue, Taraba, that also feel shortchanged in this whole northern thing. So that's where I think they are missing is. And that the moment you begin to look at the south for the chairmanship, also for personal interests, it automatically means that you're going to zone, against the convention that we know. It automatically means that you're going to zone your number one position to the north. And how well they are going to manage these intricacies, to come out of the already, embattled PDP, because you see governors leaving the party in drove, will be another thing. I hope that they will not, in their quest for selfish, benefit, will not end up driving Nigeria, to a one-party state by indirectly, giving the presidency to the APC.
And Tank, I can see Pokuola has joined us again. Pokuola, it will be interesting to see how some of these governors, especially the PDP governors in the South, who had been quite vocal about this presidency coming to the South, because they had insisted that they had several meetings, and at every meeting they had come out openly to say the presidency should come to the South. But the irony is that this PDP committee was headed by a governor from the South. So it'd be interesting to see what the governors of the PDP in the South would have to say about this. Don't you think so?
Let me say that the governors are politicians. They are playing politics. And you must also recognize that politics is dynamic. They could have their own personal desires, and which is very, very legitimate. The demands of the South, and especially the Southeast, is very, very legitimate. But practically, it is a convention that we have come to agree with, that when a certain section of the country takes the presidency, at least for 8 years, maximum of 8 years, we expect that the next president will come from the other region. But it is a convention. And as you said, it is interesting. And that is to tell us that politics is not straight. Whatever politicians talk about today is subject to the dynamics of the evolving situations. And until they come out with their full agenda, we are not likely to be able to situate the minds of the managers of PDP and why they think that, they should play their game, their cards the way they are playing it.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this without concluding on anything, Pokola. How do you see, for you, how do you see a northern presidency playing out after the tenure of President Muhammadu Buhari, for the North to continue, to continue as for the presidency now to still remain in the North? Because when you have that, the likelihood is that it's still going to be there for another 8 years.
Yeah. You see, the fact that the attitude of the Nigerian electorate is unpredictable is one factor that you must consider. That whether it is going to happen or not is subject to several factors. I have mentioned the attitude of the Nigerian electorate. What you think in the South may not necessarily align with what the Northerners think when it comes to voting. And that one will definitely determine how the result of the presidential election comes out.
Libros, let me come to you very quickly before I close. Could you picture that scenario and tell us what it would mean?
Yes, I can. Deji, like I said, I would disagree with Mr. Popola that until we hear from the PDP, we cannot determine what their mindset would be. We've been watching political events in Nigeria for a long time that we can tell from the actions of politicians what the next move is or what the intentions really are. And so the intentions are clear. You can't, PDP is the party of zoning. It has been their thing. Yeah. And so you cannot say they don't do it. When Obasanjo was from as Obasanjo's presidency from the Southwest, all their party chair, none of them was from the South. You had Solomon La, you had Barnabas Gamade, you had what's the name, Audu Ogbe. All of them were from the North. And so now, the moment Jonathan came on board, we had Adamu Mauzu, the same thing. Then coming to the issue of Northern presidency, I've never really been an advocate of this North and South thing. And I've been an advocate of competence. And you have competence spread out.
You have competence everywhere. That's the point.
I've never really been. But for equity and fairness, it is also agreed that at least the Southeast have had it. The Southwest have had it. The North had it. So let's also the Southeast have it also, because we until we started having this 6 geopolitical zone, it's the 3 major zones that we have. But come 2023, you can't take anything away. If we have a Northern president, provided he's able to correct the ills of currently that are bedeviling Nigeria, this security, the economy, and all of that. Once he does that, I tell you, Nigerians will easily forget where he's from. It is when you have challenges that Nigerians begin to look at, where's the man even from? You have nepotistic appointments, you have pandering towards, cultural and affiliations. That's where people now begin to remember where you are from. But if you have a president who's able to build bridges across board, who is able to draw, the connection. Even under the military rule, we were not this divided. I can't remember during Babangida's presidency, as bad as it was, that you hear people talking about, is the fact that it's a Hausa or is the fact that it's from the North.
Well, and that the truth is that the situations have changed, the dynamics have changed, and we can't deny the fact that whether we like it or not, it matters. It matters, just as you have said, for equity and justice. For equity and fairness, as you have said, it matters that the presidency goes round, so to speak, so that you don't create the impression that that the presidency of Nigeria has to come from a particular section of the country. I mean, so some people would say that, of course, matters. But since Mr. Kukbola is here, let me just bring him in now to have the last word, Mr. Kukbola. I asked you a question. So just, can you just, what do you think? For you to just picture a scenario of a northern presidency in 2023, is it something that will go down well in the country?
Well, as I said, I pray the best happens to Nigeria. Personally, I am in alignment with the emotions of the Southeast. Because we are all Nigerians. We are talking about a sense of equity, a sense of fairness, good intertribal relationship, and other. So many things to unite the party. To unite the country. But wherever the president comes from, if we have a northern president who has all the political will and all the necessary will to address the challenges that Nigerians are currently facing, the challenge that Nigerians that are brought to the consciousness of Nigerians, thinking about their individual turns to your turns or history. If we have a president, even if he's a northerner, and he comes around and he looks at those challenges and he begins to address it, Nigerians will likely wait to see the direction the government is going, the direction Nigeria is tilting. And if they feel that at least if we allow, this administration, there's so many wrongs to be corrected, I think Nigerians will not bother about that person. But it does not remove the fact that the demand of the South and the Southeast especially is legitimate and valid.
All right, gentlemen, I think we'll just have to end it there. In my opinion, if you've had 8 years of the presidency in the North, I think you should move to the South, because just as Libro said, there are competent people, of course, in the North, same way you have competent people in the South. I mean, people who can unite this country now, they are bound in the South. And, we also know that whether we like it or not, part of the challenges we have in this country today is that of politics. And so we can't just decide to begin to compound our political problems by seeking to, if you like, divide. Because this whole idea of the presidency remaining in the North, for me, is somewhat divisive. But we'll wait and see how it plays out. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Libro Soshoma, lawyer and political affairs analyst, thank you very much for your time. And Muka Kukbola, political affairs analyst, thank you very much for coming on the show. Well, that's how much we can take on the program this week. I'll see you again next week. Until then, bye-bye.